Well, hello and welcome. I'm your host for the Heal It Show. This is Ken D. Foster. I have a co-host today, and I'm going to be introducing you to in just a minute. And before I do that, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll bring him on screen right now. His name is Dr. James Lee. I got John in my head. I don't know why John's going, James.
I have a lot of friends named John. Again.
Well, James and I have known each other for years and years, so sometimes you get that mental block. Anyway, Dr. Lee, thank you so much for being my co-host today. It's so great to have you, man.
Ken, thanks for having me back. I always enjoy just speaking with you in general and getting the chance to chat, but co-hosting with you is always a pleasure. Thank you for having me back.
Well, it's a pleasure for me because you bring a whole different point of view, especially with the Heal It Show. You've gone through your own healing crisis more than once, and you got some real insight and understanding about cause and effect, and that's what we're going to be talking about today.
I hope to add positively to the show, so thank you for
that. Good. Well, okay, so listen, everybody, I want to let you know this. Healing, first of all, is a journey. It's a journey. So, if somebody tells you you can't heal, that's okay. They just don't know how to heal it, right? Get on the journey, find the ones that have dealt with whatever issue you're dealing with. And what I've learned from this show, from all the guests that come on this show, it's kind of controversial, but you have created your illness. But the good news is, if you accept that, you can also heal your illness. You can tune in to something greater than yourself, higher than yourself. You tune into your wisdom, your understanding, that little genius that's in you, and you start on this quest, and you listen to the show constantly because we bring in amazing guests that really have healed, everything from stage 4 cancers to devastating back issues, knee issues, you name it. The people that have come on this show are teaching our audience how to tune in and how to change their mind, change their thinking, and explore new possibilities that will most likely work for you. It may not work for you, but what the heck? What do you got to lose? Why not try it? Why not try something new and open up your mind? That's what we're talking today. We got a friend of mine on the show today, and he's gone through his healing journey. We're going to be talking to him in just a second. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll have Johann Ilgenfritz telling his story. He's got a new book out, too, so it's going to be a great show.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor or 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster, my co-host, Dr. James Lee. And today, Johann, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you.
Hello, Ken. Hello, Dr. Lee. Lovely to be here. Good morning.
Fantastic to meet you.
Johann and I go back a ways. He's one of the major networks that we work with in Europe. He owns the UK Health Radio Network, largest health radio network in Europe that I'm aware of, unless something came up, Johann. But it's great to have you. And we're going to be talking about your new book today. But before we do, I'd like to give a little synopsis of who you are so my audience understands that. Excuse me. Johann Ilgenfritz attained his master in photography in Germany, working successful very successfully as a fashion photographer for almost 20 years in Hamburg and London. His life changed dramatically in 2011 when he had a heart attack and 6 months later was diagnosed with cancer. After unsuccessful radiotherapy, he was left to find several other options, which he did. During the search for a cure, he turned to the internet, soon realizing that there was no one central point where you could turn for reliable online health information, regardless of what your health issues are. So he decided on creating a platform, which we just discussed, UK Health Radio, to support people to get the health answers that they really need. And he's also, he overcame cancer through nutritional lifestyle changes, and he's earned the title, the Curator of Health Expertise from the press. He's got a new book out. We're going to be talking about it. Wow. Johann, I just want to start with your story. Your story, let's just start where you, all of a sudden you got a heart attack, and then 6 months later you're diagnosed with cancer. What was going on in your world?
Yeah, really good question. I still don't quite know. I was 46 years old, living the life, as I said. Wonderful job to be a fashion photographer. Very stressful though. Very, very time pressure, stress. Definitely had the heart attack. Well, it wasn't like a major heart attack. It was a light heart attack on the tennis court, and then 6 months later, while the doctor's trying to find out why I wasn't feeling better, I felt worse and worse and worse the whole time. We all sort of stumbled onto the cancer diagnosis, the first one. I like separating the two because of my reaction to the first diagnosis and my reaction to the second diagnosis.
The first diagnosis sounds like a big wake-up call. How was your reaction to the second diagnosis?
My second diagnosis was the reaction was completely different, because the whole time during the radiotherapy, after the first diagnosis, I had the feeling of not being part of the process, not being, nobody told me what to do. To exercise or not to exercise, to diet or not diet, but the worst of it is I didn't ask, So, I mean, how's that for not being involved, kind of thing, in this process? So the second diagnosis, and that somehow stayed in the back of my head, even after I got the first cancer clear, and then 3 months later, during my first post-cancer screenings, they found that it had returned with a vengeance, had spread, and that's when I got the terminal diagnosis, basically 6 to 12 months, but this time my reaction was different. I can remember it like it was yesterday, sitting in my oncologist's office, in her office, and she telling me, and I'm hearing my own voice in the back of my head say, "It's not going to happen. You are not going to die." Well, you are sooner or later, but not from cancer, and not now. Definitely not now. Yeah. This was going from falling apart after the first diagnosis. The shock, the despair. At that point, I had an almost 3-year-old boy and an almost 12-year-old boy. To the second diagnosis, which was totally different. From me.
Johann, if you don't mind me asking, what was the difference? Like, why the complete 180-degree difference in reaction?
I think it was because of that feeling that I had of not being part of the process. I kept on saying to myself, Johann, you didn't partake. You were there for the treatment, but that's all. That's the only thing you had to do, was be there. I had no duties, if I could call it that. And I just started looking into becoming. I said to myself as well quite a few times, the doctors have 50, 100 patients like me. They can't focus in and do, on every single one of them. But I said to myself as well, nobody is going to fight for my life the way I am. So why am I not part of this process? I think that, Dr. Lee, I think that was basically the difference between the two diagnoses. The first one, of course, was just shock.
What was your answer? What was the answer when you asked that question? Why am I not part of this process?
Yeah, well, it wasn't. I couldn't answer it because I hadn't been part of the process. But the second diagnosis sort of put me in the place. Well, either now you act, or you
You had no choice.
Very soon. Yeah, literally took away the option of choice completely.
Yeah. I'm so glad we're discussing this, because I think a lot of people are in that place. They rely on the medical practitioners, right, to tell them what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And you just kind of show up and do what's said, but you're not really being proactive about your own disease.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I felt after the first diagnosis and treatment. Exactly that, Ken.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been on both sides of the coin here. I'm trained as a physician, and I understand. When you're looking at patients and you're looking at your roster of patients, you're going and doing your job. You're giving them their diagnosis. You're giving them their prognosis. But you're not telling them. You're not necessarily having to go through the little details because you have so many other patients to do, and you've done your job. But now on the flip side, I've been a patient, and I realized that going through the process as a physician, I had that armamentarium with me. I knew these things, but yet I still said to myself, you know what? I will defer to my doctor. I will do what he or she says. And it wasn't until literally I had a brain tumor as well. I had a problem with the tumor, but mine was a brain tumor. And it wasn't literally until she told me, you know what? Literally, she put her hand on my shoulder and said, "Oh, honey, you're just lucky to be alive. This is the end of the road. This is all we do for you, but you're stable." What do I do? And that was my wake up moment. I had to figure out. I went back to my medical knowledge and my training to say, you know what, I need to fix myself. And luckily you had the internet, and luckily I had a little bit of training. But other than that, you really have to pick yourself up. And I applaud you for that, because that's what it takes sometimes.
Well, go ahead, Johann. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just to say, I absolutely, totally agree. It was a huge wake up call. I mean, they did say to me 6 to 12 months. And I did think to myself, well, okay, so that option didn't work. There has to be other options. There have to be. So go and find them. That was the attitude I did.
And basically, I think that's a really important point for the audience, because if your doctor says you've got 6 to 12 months, they're coming from their knowledge, their understanding, their experience. And, you could accept that, or you could say, well, maybe this doctor doesn't know how to heal this 100%, and I'm going to go find somebody else. Well, James, go ahead.
And they're looking at they're giving you one number, 6 to 12 months to live, but it comes from a graph of many people. Some survived a week, some survived 10 years, and they're taking an average and saying 6 to 12 months, and that's a guess most of the time. But part of a doctor's job is to give you their best guess on the prognosis. Otherwise, you're going to leave without a sense of understanding. So I understand both sides of the coin, but yeah, sometimes that number doesn't tell you anything. I agree.
I agree. For me, it was really like, a prognosis is it. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's somebody's opinion of. It's not chiseled into stone. This was my mindset. Excuse me. It's my oncologist's opinion. She's entitled to it. She's studied. She's done the thing. She's done her dues and everything else. But it's still only her opinion. That was my mindset going into this.
So I have a question for you, Johann. From there, where did you decide, or when did you realize, wow, my diet has a lot to do with this? Because it took me a little bit of time. So what was your discovery?
Hold on. I gotta pay a bill. We'll be right back in 2 seconds, and then Johann, you can answer that.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. Guess what? They want your money and they can take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter right over here that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you right now. So what do? You fight back by letting our team of experts work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And hey, we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws, and we'll fight really hard to save your money. So, if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket. 5 minutes of your time right now can save you thousands of dollars. And the best part, it's a free call, so please call right now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster. I'll be right back with my co-host and guest, Johann Ilgenfritz, in just a second. I want to mention to you that if you would like to pass this show on to people that you care about and you love, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can go to youtube.com/@the-Courage Network. You can see all of our shows there, but you can also subscribe and pass them on to your family and friends and people that you care about. So we hope that you'll do that. And now back to my guest. Okay, let's answer that. Well, you know what I want to say before you answer that question? Now we're getting into the personal responsibility side of this discussion. And I think this is so important because a lot of people kind of feel like their diseases come from somewhere outside of themselves, and they don't really take personal responsibility for creating some of this. So, Johann, answer that question.
Yeah, Dr. Lee, unfortunately, it didn't come quickly to me either. At that stage, I just want to explain very quickly. At that stage, I still am actually today. I like science. I'm a scientific kind of a person, you know. So lifestyle and all these things, I had never really heard about, or the stuff I had heard about, not nutrition, I'd never heard about in this sense. Didn't really mean anything. So I literally went home that day. I got the diagnosis. I sat down there where everybody tells you not to go, the internet. And I'm talking 2011. So I'm talking about quite a few years ago where the internet wasn't the way it is today. We didn't have the amount of information. And I started searching. I did tell my wife, Rafaela, that the cancer had returned. I didn't tell her about the terminal diagnosis because for me, it was almost like if I say it, I make it real. I give it oxygen. And I promised myself as well that day that I would never, ever refer to it as my cancer. And I never do, never, ever. I refer to it as the big C, as to cancer. You'll see in the book, every here and there, I write it with a K just to show my disrespect and not with a C in the front. but that's, so yeah, I started searching, and 7 months into my allotted 12, if I could call it that, I read a sentence. It was 2:00 in the morning. I read a sentence that said, cancer cannot survive in an oxygenated alkaline cellular environment, written by Dr. Warburg, the German biochemist. And for some reason, probably despair a little bit, I have to admit as well, because at that point I was really ill already. Just to give the listeners and viewers an idea, that day I read that, it took me 20 minutes to walk up 3 flights of stairs. That's how ill I was at that point. So I couldn't work as a photographer anymore, nothing. But when I read that, for me, it was like me standing in a pitch dark football stadium, and all of a sudden somebody flipped the switch and the lights came on. I actually woke Rafaela at 2:00 in the morning, and I literally said to her, I have found a way not to die. I believed it. I knew with every cell in my body that this was what I've been looking for 7 months.
Wow.
And we just hit the road running, like flat out. That morning, I'm talking about 2:00 when I woke her. Later on that morning, we started researching. I became like a vegetarian overnight, and 2-3 weeks later, I became a vegan. Today, I'm an alkaline vegan. Have been for many, many years. But that was my start. That was my my light bulb moment, for lack of a better way to explain it. And it was rooted in such a belief. As I said, maybe it was just despair or anxiety or whatever you want to call it, but who cares? It worked. So that was my starting point.
Were you able to implement that new diet in your lifestyle immediately, or did it take? I mean, what did it take? Like, it usually you have to have a good reason for this. Obviously, you had cancer staring you down, but how long did this take to transition?
It took, with the help of Rafaela, it still took quite a while, because, as I said, we both had no idea of anything, of veganism and all this, and alkaline, and acidic, the pH system of the body. 7.2 is neutral.
Did you also eliminate like things like caffeine or sugars, or what did you do there?
Yeah, but it was a gradual process. As I said, we started with the food first, finding out what was acidic, what wasn't, that kind of stuff. Caffeine was one of the first things I actually stopped doing, because caffeine acidifies the body extremely. Like one espresso acidifies the body by 300%. So, and even tea, at that stage, I was drinking 12, 15 cups of tea a day, black tea, milk and sugar.
You are British.
So, yeah. So yes, it's literally had to, all that, but Ken, it didn't happen all in one go. It happened as we learned.
Let me ask you this too. In hindsight, right, would you say that you set up an environment in your body so that cancers could live? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, definitely. I created an alkaline on a cellular level. Look, your blood has a pH as well, which your body controls. Your detox and all that basically controls your blood pH. But on a cellular level, you can influence your pH. So you can get the pH environment in your cellular level either acidic, which is really good for cancer, because, a long story very short, it creates acidity, creates sugar, which is what cancer cells feed off. Now, if you take that food away, of course, they can't eat. They don't have anything to eat. So that's basically what I did. I created an alkaline environment hostile to cancer cells.
The new book is Reversing Cancer. And tell me why you wrote it.
It was like basically the next step after creating UK Health Radio, which I did still while I had cancer, just because of the fact that I didn't have, there wasn't one specific place where people like me could go and find answers in a positive manner. I was reading a lot of stuff. It was all doom and gloom. It was all, you are going to die. It is going to be painful, etc., etc. And I didn't want that. So yeah, after creating UK Health Radio, and then later on I created the Alkaline Collective Mastermind. It's a mastermind that I work with people that have cancer. I'm not a health professional. I'm not a coach. It's a mastermind principle. So we learn from each other. In the mastermind, there are people doing high dosage vitamin C, for example, that I never did. So I can't talk about it, but I can learn from them as well. And that's how that's how the mastermind principle works really well. And this was basically the book, Reversing Cancer, is basically for me the next step. In UK Health Radio, I don't have my own show. It's not about me. It's about health professionals giving their information. So with the Alkaline Collective Mastermind, I'm involved, and I really like it. I really liked it, and that's why the book has come out, because the book is basically how I live, what I do on a daily basis to have beaten cancer and to stay cancer free. As I mentioned before, I was given 12 months. It's been almost 13 years. I'm a really privileged person to have lived, and I'm not about to die either. I've got a long life ahead of me. I've got a lot of information in me still to give people.
You're also an athlete, aren't you? Aren't you like, what's your lifestyle, dude?
Yeah,
take us through a day.
Absolutely.
Johann,
Take us through a day. Take us through a day.
I'm curious now. What do you eat for breakfast? What are you doing for exercise? What are you doing for? Take us through a day of Johann.
Yeah. So my day starts really, really early, and there's a reason for that. Is that I analyzed my lifestyle as a photographer, and I realized that stress, especially time pressure, probably caused or helped cause me being ill. So I get up at 3:30 every morning. Wow. And I do my meditation then, and then I actually start working up until about 5 o'clock, and then I go for a run. Not every day though, every second day I run 14, 15, 16 kilometers depending on how I feel that day. So every second day I come back, make breakfast for the kids. I don't eat breakfast myself. I practice intermittent fasting on a 19-hour, 5-hour scale. So I don't eat for 19 hours. And within the 5-hour period, I eat lunch at 1 o'clock, and I have a light dinner at about 6-ish, plus minus. So I make the family breakfast. Those who do, Rafaela, my wife, doesn't. She does what I do, and then it's back to work. It's UK Health Radio. It's Alkaline Collective. It's
What was for breakfast, Johann?
Well, that's another story. Both my boys are not vegan, so I make them eggs, sausages, whatever they want. I'm not one of those people that force my beliefs onto them. My eldest son, as I said, when I was diagnosed, was 11, and in support, under tremendous peer pressure, he became a vegan, and he was one for many years. Until he wasn't. Until he came to me one day and said, "Listen, Dad, look, this is not for me." And so I go to the halal butcher. I buy him his meat. So that's how it is.
That's funny. When my daughters were about 13, I showed them a video on how the chicken manufacturing industry treats the birds and the cows and the pigs. Yeah, they went vegan, and my ex-wife was a vegan. They came home and said, "Mom, we're not eating any of that stuff anymore." Now they've gone back. Now they're very health conscious. They read labels. They know what they put in their bodies and stuff. But they went back to eating the meat proteins, which meat personally I don't subscribe to. I just think that my body runs really well on vegetarian diets.
That's
so
and I mean my son.
I just wanted to add something real quick because I got a chance to meet Dr. Oz, and I like what you did with with what you're doing, because he said vegetarian I can't even say it. Being a vegan is probably the healthiest thing you can do for your body, but it's a very lonely or isolating lifestyle unless, like you did, you can incorporate your, other people in your life. You can cook food for them. You can eat around them, because otherwise it's a very lonely lifestyle. So I'm glad. I applaud you for what you did.
All right, you guys, I gotta take a break. We'll be right back, and we're gonna take a little deeper dive into the mental side of healing and what you did with your mind and what you continue to do to focus on the emotional, mental side of this healing of the cancer. We'll be right back.
Hi, everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. We're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now.
Hi, folks. Joe Namath here. Did you know that I wear hearing aids? I love my hearing aids, and I am here to help you get a deal on the same brand I wear.
Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get MD Hearing's revolutionary Neo hearing aids for just $297 a pair. The Neo is a true hearing aid, not an amplifier. With rechargeable technology many customers say is superior to more expensive models. And you can get 2 Neo hearing aids with a 45-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free lifetime US-based support for only $297. The Neo is nearly invisible with its tiny in-the-ear canal design.
Call my friends at MD Hearing and get the over-the-counter hearing aids that I use for you.
Call now and get not 1 but 2 Neo hearing aids for just $297.
800-789-7885. Again, that's 800-789-7885.
All right. So, there's a mental emotional side to this. And I love what you said about the, the stress piece, that you realize that. We've had a lot of doctors come on the show now and tell us that it's 80 to 90% of the cause of all disease has to do with stress. And so it's a big, important factor. I think the statistics now in America, we've got 60% of the population experiencing stress 2 or 3 times, major stress 2 or 3 times a week, and that's not probably helping the body at all. So, how do you deal with the mental side of this, Johann?
I decided quite a few years ago that I analyzed it, and I call them the 4 Qs: IQ, EQ, SQ, and PQ. So IQ, and I try. Just before I start, I try and work on all 4 of these areas at the same time, so that they plus minus on the same level, just to move forward, just to get somewhere in life. So the IQ, of course, everybody knows that as understanding the science of health. Now, a lot of people say yes, but I mean today, all this stress that causes acidity. It's all proven these days. This is not me sucking it out of my thumb anymore, like everybody thought, in those days. These are all tests. They are all scientific data that prove this stuff. It causes stress, causes inflammation, which is the foundation for bad cardiovascular health, for diabetes, for obesity. It's almost the fundamental thing in our modern society. So informing yourself is really important. But I just wanted to say one thing on there. Keep it simple. Don't try and implement everything all at the same time, because that doesn't work either. You've got to do it structurally. You've got to try it, test it. If it doesn't work for you, let it go, that kind of thing. Then we have the EQ, the emotional managing stress and emotional well-being. It is so important. So meditation plays such a big part in my life now. I'm the one that used to laugh at people that said they meditate. Now I meditate an hour and a half a day, early in the mornings by myself. Sometimes I have even managed. I've taught myself to do a quantum meditation while I'm running. Yeah, sometimes it works. Doesn't always work, I have to admit. But I run really early in the mornings, as I just mentioned. Right. So and there's and between the quantum meditation and morphic resonance, that's my world. That's where I live. That's where my emotional the EQ comes from. Then we've got the SQ, the spiritual side of it. For me, that's purpose. That's what gets me up at 3:30 in the morning. Is that purpose? That purpose. I love being a fashion photographer. I really did. But what I'm doing now is amazing. It is so exciting, And for me, and I think different people will have different purposes. It's not what it is, as long as there is a fundamental purpose in everything you do. Wow, that's spiritual health at its best. And then, of course, the physical side of it, which is so important. I always use this example: the lymphatic system in our bodies. It's the only detox system that doesn't have a pump. There's no pump. So the only way to get your lymphatic detox system going is through sport, exercise, sweating.
That's it.
Etc. So and it's
great way to de-acidify the body as well. So exercising. Yeah. Yes.
And it's so empowering. I mean, I'm 61 now. 2 weeks ago, I ran the Kew Gardens. It's half marathon here in London, and it's my favorite marathon. You know why, Ken? Because it's flat.
Yeah,
I
agree with you.
Yeah. And I was there with 3,500 other people. Early in the morning was a beautiful day. It was incredible, So that's my mental. But it's hard work. You've got to work at it. It's like anything else. You've got to work at it, and you have to keep on keeping on. That's what I always say.
That's great. Well, what I say is you got to feel the pain to make the change, man. If you want to stay healthy and fit and whatever, it might be a little painful to change your diet, your lifestyle, the way you think, how you exercise. But you know what? If you want to live pain-free, literally, and last a lot longer than your peers, we're talking about what to do here. So Reversing Cancer, and the book is Johann Ilgenfritz. And you can get it at, right now you can get it over at ukhealthradio.net. Is that right? You'll be able to get
No, .com.
.com. I'm so sorry. ukhealthradio.com. By the way, as I mentioned, my show is up there and has been on there. We got a couple of shows up there. It is the premier network in Europe, and you can get it, of course, in on our network. You can listen to all of the all of our episodes over there, and there's so many healthcare practitioners that are really helping people change their life, change their thinking. This is really it's a service website, just like Johann. Johann knows life is chiefly service. That's part of the other part that we do when we heal, as you get into service in greater ways. So he's gotten into service with his new book and UK Health Radio. I just want to share that with you because I'm so excited for you. This is really a good thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me ask you one question real quick about the book. It's your journey, it's your path. What is your hope for people to walk away with the book? Like, what kind of benefits, practical benefits, might they walk away with after reading this?
They'll definitely walk away being more healthy, more vibrant, more alert, more physical, more engaged, more excited. My lifestyle animates action, taking action. Yeah. Now, Ken, with the Alkaline Collective Mastermind, I've met so many people that will rather die than change. Now, this book will help you to change. It won't do the work for you, but it can show you how to do it step by step, what to look out for. As I said, it's a workbook. You can write in it. We specially designed it in a way that it's not meant to read once and put in the bookshelf. It's meant to lie in the kitchen. The cover even has like a soft touch cover, so it's water repellent and stuff like that. So it's meant to be used on a daily basis. And I speak about everything I do, which we haven't even come close to. I talk about breath work. I talk about the food I eat. And we've even got a few recipes in there. It's not a cookbook either. It's just to animate people's imagination, to get them going, to get them on the path.
It sounds like a kind of an owner's manual for our bodies. That we were never given one. We were just put into this earth, and we were never told how our bodies even work. So
absolutely,
I think I get it.
And there are also things like in there for example, tomatoes. There are not many of these things, but tomatoes are super alkaline when they're raw, but as soon as you cook them, they go super acidic. Same with for people to know this. Potatoes, thank heavens, potatoes are super acidic as well, but they metabolize alkaline. It's incredible thing, because I love potatoes. I live on potatoes.
I didn't know that about potatoes. Okay, I'm gonna throw those back in my diet. I usually eat the sweet potatoes if I'm gonna eat, but I don't usually eat the lessons. Yeah.
And just using rice. You can wash the starch out of rice because that's where the sugar and the stuff is all in. But why go do all that? Quinoa is delicious, and you can use it as a rice substitute. Buckwheat, it's not a grain, it's a seed. So there's information like this in the book. Wow. And everybody's always saying to me, yes, but what about the protein? I think if I hear that again, I'm going to pop a vein in my head. Where do the animals get the protein from? Plants. So vegetables, soybeans, lentils, they have so much protein in them. Avocados,
broccoli,
seeds, broccoli, seeds, again, quinoa, tofu, and the other thing that's in there is water, the essence of water. Now, I'm not telling anybody to do what I do, but I have been drinking distilled water now for about 6 or 7 years. There is an issue with distilled water with minerals, so you have to add minerals, but that's in there as well. So,
wow. Well, listen, I love it. We're just getting going. We're gonna have you back on the show because we're out of time here, bro. But I just again thank you, Johann, for coming on. And any final thoughts here? You got about a half a minute.
Okay, just become part of the process, people. It's your life, it's your health. Grab it with both hands. I'm not saying take it into your own hands, but be part of the process and do it. Action has genius.
Action has genius. Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you come back on the show and talk a little bit more about this. It's very informing. And I think I think some people are going to listen to this and change the way they're thinking. That's what I think. Dr. Lee, thank you for being my co-host today. It was a lot of fun, man.
It always is, Ken. Thanks for having me. I hope I did something good for the show. I found Johann fascinating. I think he's got a lot more too much to say in just one show. It's obvious. So
we're gonna have to have him back for sure.
Amazing guy.
Yeah, it was an amazing guy. So. All right. Well, thank you, all of you, for tuning in. And again, we encourage you to go over to our YouTube channel there and please subscribe. It's youtube.com /@ the Courage Network. And you can pass this show on to your family and friends.